interesting times. Today's stories. Alberta eases a few pandemic restrictions. Ontario is under a stay-at-home order. Testing is now required for rotational workers, and Nova Scotia tightens border controls. The City of Ottawa's mobile vaccination team for Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine. Ottawa Mayor supports stay-at-home order. BC Real Estate Association's records an increase in sale of homes. Future of Filipino flavors look bright as Potato Corner goes global. In sports, the NBA sets new COVID protocols amid several team breakouts. And Brooklyn lands James Harden in multi-team deal. Kristaps Porzingis returns to Mavs lineup. Hello everyone, you're watching Eagle News International from Canada. I am Cara Cabuso Pascual reporting from St. John, New Brunswick, bringing you stories from across the globe. The Alberta government eases a few pandemic restrictions in the province. Eagle News correspondent Thomas I. Likeness files this report.
Good news for Albertans who need a haircut. Hair salons and barbershops are among the personal services businesses that will be allowed to reopen in Alberta starting on Monday. They'll have to follow rules such as operating by appointment only and only on a one-to-one basis. As well, outdoor gatherings of no more than 10 people will now be allowed, and up to 20 people will be allowed to attend funerals. However, indoor gatherings and funeral receptions remain verboten. Alberta Health Minister Tyler Shandro says the province's case numbers remain high. He says that threatens the healthcare system, so many restrictions will remain in place.
Today, we can't entirely ease up on this goal, but we can make small adjustments to provide Albertans with some limited activities.
The big one, which many people want to see removed, is the ban on dining in at restaurants. Shandro says now is not the time, and that's because he wants to avoid having to bring back restrictions if they're lifted too soon.
We want to stop as a province going back and forth with tightening and then loosening the rules. I'm sure that Albertans are tired of going back and forth themselves.
Chief Medical Officer of Health Dr. Dina Hinshaw says we're not out of the woods yet. There's still a long way to go.
Although we've seen a small decline in case rates and we are relaxing some measures, I want to stress the situation remains serious. Our numbers remain high and our health system is still under significant strain. Over the coming weeks, we must remain diligent in our efforts to bring these numbers down even further.
With more than 800 people being treated for COVID in hospitals, others in need of care that's not urgent are having their cases delayed. On the minds of most people is, when can other restrictions be loosened? What about that, Dr. Hinshaw?
If we continue to follow those basic public health measures in all of our activities, including these new activities that have opened up, we can continue to have a downward trend at the same time as enjoying a few more activities in a safe way.
Meanwhile, many restaurant owners say their businesses are on life support and may not be around much longer. They want the government to reopen in-person dining with strict measures in place, and they want a commitment of no more shutdowns. In Edmonton, Canada, Thomas I. Likeness, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
With hope to decrease the new cases of COVID-19, Ontario is now under a stay-at-home order. Eagle News correspondent Yolanda Aspiras with the story.
On Tuesday, January 12, 2021, Ontario officials announced that beginning on Thursday, January 14 at 12:01 a.m., Ontario will be going under a stay-at-home order requiring all Ontarians to stay home, with the exception of essential outdoor trips or for essential work. Minister of Health Kristen Elliott expounds on the details of the stay-at-home order. Take a look.
As part of the stay-at-home order, We are asking businesses to ensure that any employee who can work from home does work from home. All non-essential construction will be closed. All non-essential retail stores will be required to close by 8 p.m., with the exception of grocery stores, convenience stores, pharmacies, and restaurants providing takeout orders. Outdoor gatherings will be further restricted to 5 people. Wearing masks will be mandatory in all public places and should be worn outside as well when you can't keep 2 meters apart. School closures in Southern Ontario are being extended until January 25th and will be assessed on an ongoing basis by the Chief Medical Officer of Health. Schools in hotspots may not resume.
In addition to this, COVID-19 testing will also increase, with approximately 300,000 tests provided per week.
We are also expanding rapid testing to help identify and isolate cases of COVID-19. We are doing this by providing 300,000 COVID-19 rapid tests per week to support key sectors such as manufacturing, warehousing, supply chain, and food processing, as well as additional tests for our schools and long-term care homes. We expect to receive nearly 12 million PanBio rapid tests from the federal government over the next several months, and we continue to pursue opportunities to purchase additional rapid tests.
Along with the new stay-at-home order, the province's enforcement personnel will be given more authority to ensure these restrictions are followed. Here is Solicitor General Sylvia Jones with the details.
A greater authority will be provided to enforcement personnel across Ontario to ensure restrictions and orders are followed. Additionally, if individuals, employees, and corporations in retail settings are found not complying with an order, enforcement personnel have the authority to issue a fine. All provincial offences officers also have the authority to disperse crowds indoors as well as outdoors. Let me be clear. If people are found not complying with these orders, they will be subject to fines and persecution. Penalties may include up to a year in jail.
Ontario's newly implemented restrictions are in result of the provincial government's consultation with the Chief Medical Officer of Health and other health experts under a declared Second Provincial Emergency Act, the Emergency Management and Civil Protection Act. This is in response to the double rise of COVID-19 cases in the province in the past 2 weeks, bringing Ontario's total number of active cases to over 30,000 on January 12. In Toronto, Yolanda Spires, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
As the world continues to deal with COVID-19, parts of Canada mandates testing to rotational workers for additional protection. Eagle News correspondent Melanie Ronquillo with the details.
As of January 15, 2021, testing for rotational workers working outside Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, Newfoundland, and Labrador, according to Premier Stephen McNeil, is concerned with the high number of cases of COVID-19, where many in Nova Scotia are rotational workers. Furthermore, mandatory testing will provide workers, their families, and their communities as an additional layer of protection. This approach reflects the risk of importing the virus through recurrent travel. With these rotational workers must complete their 14 days of modified self-isolation even if they have negative COVID-19 test result. Testing should be done on day 1 or 2 and to be repeated on day 6, 7, or 8. Testing should be repeated. According to the Government of Nova Scotia, random choosing of rotational workers for auditing purposes to check testing data. Failure to do the first test, workers will get a phone call for a reminder that it is mandatory. A 1,000 Canadian dollar fine will be issued if they did not get their second test. One test is required on day 6, 7, or 8 of self-isolation. For post-secondary students outside Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, Newfoundland, and Labrador, with complete 14-day self-isolation even if the test is negative. With the recent increase of COVID-19 in neighboring provinces, New Brunswick and Nova Scotia is tightening border controls. People entering Nova Scotia from New Brunswick must complete the Nova Scotia Safe Check-in form before arriving and self-isolate for 14 days upon arrival. Nova Scotians returning from New Brunswick must also self-isolate for 14 days unless they are exempt from the order. To date, there are 1,542 cumulative confirmed cases of COVID-19. In Ottawa, Canada, this is Melody Ranquillo. We live in interesting times.
The city of Ottawa finds a way to be able to transport the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine. Eagle News correspondent Sabir Mufti with more.
Ottawa has recently been able to transport the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine and is the first municipality in Ontario to be able to move the vaccine from its original storage point to another location to be administered. The City of Ottawa has brought together mobile vaccination teams in order to meet the challenge of transporting the vaccine since its storage requires extreme temperatures. This team includes paramedics trained to transport, dilute, and administer the vaccine safely and efficiently and to provide patient care. An Ottawa public health clerk is also part of each team. In order to roll out the vaccine to long-term care homes safely, each paramedic has specific roles. 2 paramedics provide the injections, and the third stays with the residents for 15 minutes after the injection to monitor for any reactions. An Ottawa public health nurse accompanies each team, communicating with staff at the home and makes sure all vaccine doses are accounted for. The Ottawa Public Health Clerk, in turn, enters the data into the tracking system. A staff on site gathers and organizes medical supplies and the vaccine itself. Once the supplies are organized on a cart, the teams go from room to room, administering this life-saving vaccine to residents. Pharmacists from the Ottawa Hospital and Children's Hospital of Eastern Ontario are on site to oversee this process of handling the vaccine and to train paramedics so they can dilute the vaccines themselves going forward. In Ottawa, Canada, this is Sabir Mufti. We live in interesting times.
As many may be against the new stay-at-home order placed by the Ontario government, Mayor Jim Watson shows his approval of the new order. Here's Eagle News correspondent Andre Lajoie with the details.
With the second state of emergency order issued by the Ontario government, the Mayor of Ottawa, Jim Watson, is in recent press briefing is in favor of the current mandate by the Premier of Ontario. Starting January 14 at 12:01 a.m., government is issuing stay-at-home order, restricting further private and public gatherings as it is one of the primary drivers of COVID-19 transmission, according to the Mayor. The Mayor reiterated for a resident of Ottawa to stay at home as much as possible and limit interactions outside their household, to follow provincial guidelines limiting trips outside of our home for only essentials like getting groceries, picking up prescriptions, and attending medical appointments. Maintaining physical distance to people outside your household, wearing a face mask when gathering or interacting to people outside your household and when outside. The COVID-19 numbers are increasing at an alarming rate, according to the Chief of Public Health Officer, Dr. Vera Hetch. Ottawa is currently in the red zone, and with the increase in cases, that the city is approaching gray territory with higher percentage of positive tests or increasing in hospitalization. To date, there are 11,747 confirmed cases in Ottawa, with 1,217 active cases, 33 currently in hospital, and 15 in ICU. In Ottawa, Canada, this is Andre Lajoie. We live in interesting times.
Eagle News correspondent Vanessa Condi tells us how sales of homes in British Columbia increased despite the pandemic. Vanessa?
Despite the pandemic, according to the BC Real Estate Association, they have recorded a record number of home sales in 2020. They have shown an increase of 21.5% of units sold from 2019 to 2020, and an increase of average residential prices of 11.7% across BC. According to the 2020 Mercer's report, Vancouver is one of the top 100 cities for cities with the highest cost of living, with house prices going up on average 10% according to the BC Assessment Association. This benefits investors and homeowners. However, for first-time buyers, it may be harder to get on the property ladder. As many sectors have been hit hard during this pandemic in 2020, according to a statement made by BC Real Estate Association Chief Economist Brendan Ogmanson, he has said, housing markets across the province staged a remarkable recovery during the COVID-19 pandemic and recession. This sector was helped by Bank of Canada's low interest rates, and as said by Vancouver Island assessor Tina Ireland, home values across Vancouver Island have appreciated this year due to strong demand combined with limited inventory for sale. The BC Real Estate Association are also expecting considerable momentum heading into 2021. In Victoria, BC, Vanessa Condi, Eagle News, we live in interesting times.
Coming up, future of Filipino flavors look bright as Potato Corner goes global. In sports, the NBA sets new COVID protocols amid several team breakouts. And in sports, Brooklyn lends James Harden in multi-team deal. Kristaps Porzingis returns to Mavs lineup. Eagle News International continues after this. Welcome back. You are watching Eagle News International from Canada. I am Cara Cabuso Pascual from St. John, New Brunswick. Just when you thought French fries couldn't get any better, Potato Corner shows how Filipino flavors can change your mind. Eagle News correspondent Archie Rose Natividad Yi with the story.
When you think of fries, you think salty, crunchy, and delicious. Potato Corner takes fries to the next level by producing the world's best flavored fries since 1992. Starting from a food cart in a night market from the Philippines, the brand has now expanded to become an international phenomenon.
Potato Corner first launched into the BC market with the opening of its first location in Vancouver in late 2020. It was then followed by the grand opening in the Surrey location a few months later. Cecile Pratt, managing director for Potato Corner, shared the excitement of launching the second location in British Columbia.
Yeah, we're excited that we'll be able to bring this brand here in BC, and we hope to expand more in BC, so hopefully we can go across Canada too, which is what we want to do. It's nice that we're able to bring this brand here.
Fries are the perfect snack and comfort food, and with Potato Corner, there are a number of exciting flavors for many to look forward to.
Popular one is cheese. The cheese flavor is a popular one. The next one probably is sour cream. Probably they go hand in hand, but those are our two popular ones. And we also do have barbecue flavor, which is also a popular one, and chili barbecue. And planning to bring in more flavors. Hopefully within the next month or two, we'll have other flavors that we'll introduce at Kingsway Branch, and then also here in Surrey.
For many Filipinos, Potato Corner is not only a taste of home, but it is also a memory of growing up. Whether you visited after school or hanging out at the mall, the brand is synonymous for the nostalgic taste and flavor of the Philippines.
We want wanted to bring more of the what Filipinos know here in BC, because there's not very much. I mean, yeah, you have your little shops too, but we wanted to bring in a brand that a lot of the Filipinos know. So that's the exciting part about it, introducing, and not just to Filipinos, we want to cater out to all others. And we've seen, since we've opened for the week, we've seen other people trying Potato Corner. So that's the exciting part of it, that it's just not Filipinos, it's more other diversified cultures will try it too. So.
The city of Surrey is home to one of the largest population of Filipinos in British Columbia. With a number of Filipino restaurants and stores in Surrey, the addition of the second location of Potato Corner helps to make Filipinos in the community feel closer to home.
So now we're so happy that they finally opened, and I must say that they've found a very strategic location. Surrey is, we have a big community in Surrey, and even the mall, they've chosen well. The floor, and the neighbors, we have TNT, we have Service Canada, we have Shoppers, we have Tellus, and so everybody who's coming here will want to try Potato Corner.
The Deputy Consul General also shared why it is significant that Filipino brands like Potato Corner are important to the community.
We are about 160,000 Filipinos strong in British Columbia alone. And so, we are very famous for our labor. We have very good quality people, and everybody likes to work with a Filipino. But we need to establish ourselves also commercially, because our commercial presence does not match our numbers, in Canada. And so we are always happy when Filipino iconic brands, like you said, Max, Goldilocks, Philippine Airlines, even Ayala, in real estate, when they come here and establish themselves, they make the Philippines proud, right? They raise us to an all-new level. And so we are just happy that Potato Corner has made it. And of course, we look forward to other Filipino brands joining us very soon.
With brands like Potato Corner leading the way, the future looks bright for Filipino flavors going global. And for many Filipinos here in BC, a taste of home is never far with a bite of Potato Corner.
Archie Rose, Natividad Yi, Eagle News, we live in interesting times.
In sports, the NBA has set new COVID protocols due to several team breakouts. Eagle News sports correspondent Jarita Sessa tells us more.
With the start of the new NBA season, everyone was excited to see their teams back on the court. And the success of the NBA bubble last season brought on hope that playing during a pandemic is possible. However, the reality of the league's working conditions became very evident, especially in the last couple of weeks within the NBA, as COVID ran rampant through several NBA teams. The most recent round of tests among players showed that 16 out of 497 players were confirmed to be positive for COVID-19. Not only are the ones who tested positive considered unavailable, but also those who have been deemed as having close contact with them. Because of this, several games have been postponed as teams are unable to fulfill the league's requirement of having 8 players available to play. The NBA has been forced to postpone 13 games, affecting teams like the Boston Celtics, the Washington Wizards, the Miami Heat, and the Dallas Mavericks, just to name a few. The recent outbreak among several franchises has forced the NBA and its Players Association to meet and come up with a plan to try and control it. From that meeting, the league has now issued new COVID protocols that players and team staff must follow. Some of those rules include staying at home when they are in their home market, only to leave for team-related functions, very specific seating plans and arrangements on the plane and on the bench, wearing a mask at all times while on the bench, even during a game, and also players are discouraged from socializing with the other team before and during any of their games. The NBA has advised that they will keep these protocols in place for 2 weeks and reassess thereafter. Despite the NBA's desire not to take any drastic pauses in their season, this may just be the reality of the season if we continue to see the virus take over different teams. Reporting from Toronto, Canada, I'm Zarita Sese. Eagle News, we live in interesting times.
A new chapter begins for James Harden in Brooklyn, and Kristaps Porzingis returns to the Dallas lineup. Tenny Sumagi recaps this week's NBA blockbuster trade involving the Beard and KP's season debut.
James Harden's response about the Rockets gave the world an inkling that he wanted out of Houston.
We're just not good enough. We don't. Obviously, chemistry, talent-wise, just everything, and it was clear. Like I said, these last few games. They just, from the beginning of the game, they were just aggressive, veteran team, obviously, championship team, and, one of the best teams that we have in this league. I love this city. I literally, have done everything that I can. This situation is crazy. It's something that I don't think can be fixed. So,
in less than 24 hours, Harden was dealt to the Brooklyn Nets in a 4-team blockbuster deal which involved the Indiana Pacers and the Cleveland Cavaliers Wednesday.
That we knew this was going to be done at the beginning of the season, absolutely not. And, this was something that came around relatively quickly, sped up very fast. But at the end of the day, it goes back to when you have the opportunity to add James Harden to your roster, you're certainly going to do your due diligence, and you can do everything you possibly can to try and make that happen.
Harden spent 8 seasons with the Rockets, where he evolved as an NBA MVP and a 3-time scoring champion. The 8-time All-Star sung his praises about the Nets roster and is excited to help the Nets aim for a championship title.
Obviously, you got Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving on the team. And then surrounded by those guys, you have really good pieces in DeAndre, Jeff, shooters, and Joe, Landry. You just look at this entire roster, and it's built for any style of basketball you want. And then the coaching staff, who knows the game of basketball at a high level. You just add that all together, and it's like that's a legit chance right there. It was a no-brainer for me.
In other NBA news, Kristaps Porzingis returned to the Dallas Mavericks lineup Wednesday against the Charlotte Hornets. Porzingis finished with 16 points in 21 minutes as the Mavs got the W on the road.
I've been working a lot, just coming back from the injury, so it's always a good feeling once you actually get there and you get those minutes on the court. So I'm happy about that, happy about the win. I'm looking forward to the next game already and keep working and keep getting better.
And that's a wrap for this week's NBA News. In New York, Tenny Sumagi, Eagle News, we live in interesting times.
That's our program for today. Join us next week as we bring stories that matter to you. Visit our website at eaglenews.net and eaglenewslive.com. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/eaglenews and on Facebook at facebook.com/eaglenews. Thank you for watching. I am Cara Cabusao Pascual. We'll live in interesting times.